There's a phase in growth that no one really prepares you for. The part where the old you is gone and the new you hasn't fully arrived yet. This is what Brother Jimmy and Sister Honey are going to talk about today. On this episode 28. 28. Beautiful. And Sister Honey, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. And we are at the space between right now. So it's such a big time right now. And I don't know what day we're airing this, probably on the big day. But the things that are going on, I can't even imagine what it's going to look like in a few weeks, even. Things are shifting so fast.
They surely are. And the episode title of this episode is The Void Between Old Identity and New Life. And I got to tell you that that's been happening for me as I landed here in Las Terrenas, Dominican Republic, where we spend a few months. We spend half our time here. And it just was like just massive chaos going on. And we're going to talk about that today, but we're going to go through a lot of good things to help everybody get prepared to really, really thrive. And what you're talking as people are watching this live or they're watching the recording as this premieres on February 17th, that's the fire horse. So
yes, it is.
We did a beautiful, the portal is open. If you go to our lives on the YouTube channel, we did a beautiful, the portal is open right on the fire horse. By the way, that image, but we must say that this is a beautiful image here. We all say a beautiful image, but that image was the first image to rank 100% on vidIQ scoring, which if you don't know what that is, folks, vidIQ is what scores, how you do the videos and the titles and the thumbnails and stuff to make sure that you're doing them right for the audience. So that was an amazing episode and lots of beautiful comments about it. But, that in between space, a lot of people feel like that right now, Sister Honey. And as we get into our segments tonight, what do you kind of talk about what's been going on with the energy, where you feel we're headed? We got Mercury retrograde coming very shortly here. And again, we want to make this episode evergreen, but there'll be a couple things in it that are time date situation. And if you don't know what Mercury retrograde is, Google it, AI it, and really look at what goes on during this period of time. And that's coming in about 10 days from now or 9 days from now as of the 17th. So can you talk to the folks about what you've been feeling, what's going on? I mean, you've been delivering a lot of beautiful stuff in our free community. Talk to the folks about that.
So what I would say is going on, and we have to really think about the Chinese astrology for a minute, is we've been going through the wood snake, and that's been the year that we've been in, and it's about to end on the 17th. And basically it's all about knowledge and letting go of things we no longer need. So shedding. So a lot of people are shedding big parts of their identity. And the identity, a lot of that is, I do it this way. This is how I operate my life. I am this. I am that, And it's the things that we've assumed throughout our lifetime. And a lot of times they're not actually ours. A lot of times they have to do with trauma that we've experienced. And we associate ourselves with the trauma, with an illness, with, something that's happened, like your family and your family. And it's time for all that stuff to be brought up to the surface and heal. And as we go into the fire horse, that's another portal. And I believe the universe is using this energy in like an exponential way. It's bigger than it normally is. And you can see that in regular astrology with all the different planets, but also you can just feel it in your body right now. So a lot of us have been very stressed, probably not functioning perfectly. Like a lot of people have had stomach aches, headaches, things going on in their body that maybe they thought they had worked through. Then it came up again. Relationship stuff, all of that has been right on the surface. And in the outside world, all the yuckiness has been right on the surface. And that's because it's time to know and it's time to clear it. So we've been moving through that, and a lot of it kind of created exhaustion for people, not really knowing what they're going to do next because there's just too much coming up. And that's completely fine because it's not a time of doing, it's been a time of clearing. And a lot of electronic stuff as well. So I can really feel that one because I'm always working with the electronics. But they have been trying to bridge the gap. You know, you create everything that you see in your world.
Yes.
And the electronics have been trying to bridge the two timelines. And not this last Sunday, but the Sunday before. So maybe like 8 days ago. So that would have been the 8th, around the 8th. We basically started a whole nother bifurcation event. And you could feel it. And I could hear it in my head, like the cracking and the separation. So we've been through more than one of those in this process in the last 5 years. And that one will continue throughout the year and get wider and wider as we go. So that's kind of what's been going on. But I'm very excited because we're going forward faster and faster. I think we might see some pretty big events over the next week or so. And I think that when Mercury retrograde comes in, it will be a chance to deal with some things that have been happening, not just in your own life, but seeing things being dealt with in the outside world as well.
Yes. And one of the things I wrote down here after, the void between old identity and new life, we're talking about that in between season where you no longer know you're no longer who you were, but you're not fully clear on who you are becoming. So you're no longer who you were, but you don't know who you're becoming. I think a lot of people are feeling that way. Like, what is going on? And like you said, there's more and more stuff coming to the surface. If you look at the Schumann resonance and you look at what the sun's been doing, and you look at just the divine energy from the divine, the creator, that everything's in and it's in everything, how that's increasing, it's amazing. And what you were saying is interesting. A lot of things are getting shaken to awake people to fixing them, to shedding them. Yeah. One of the things I forgot to say is, if you like this episode, at the end, make sure you like it, comment, and share, and subscribe if you have not subscribed. I have to say that because they tell me I need to say it in order to get you to do it. So I'm going to say it. But anyways, if you like it, please do. And if you're part of the community and you're watching this, please leave the comments down how you're enjoying the community. If you are, please let people know. That's really important. But it's interesting because as I was flying here on the 4th, I had some things happen I got to keep confidential. You know about it, but it never happened. Like, never happened ever in the history of the business. And it happened, boom. And it was interesting because at first I'm thinking, okay. And you know what's interesting also, Mr. Honey, is I was so calm through dealing with that, and then having my beautiful wife Cindy going through the doctor here when we first came to that first day, the second day, the third day, and then she had to go to the hospital. Our guy took her over there to get some new medication for her. I'm not going to give it any words because I don't do that. I'm not going to give it any of my energy, but it was interesting. They switched her medication from what she was taking in the United States to what she's taking here, and it was night and day difference. Even the doctor here said, why are they giving you that? That's not what you need for what is going on. And it immediately changed her life overnight. So that was going on. Then settling in and making sure my office was set up and all that was going on top of doing what I have to do on a daily basis. So all of this was coming at me at one time. And usually the old Jimmy wouldn't have reacted really well with it. But the new Jimmy, the brother Jimmy that's been developing really even more so since 2020, and we all know what that date was, just I went with the flow, man. I went with the flow and I didn't get anxious. I didn't get nervous. I didn't react in a negative way. I just went with the flow. And that's what we all have to do, because a lot of this kind of stuff is shaking out. Because I'm a wood snake. I was born in May of 65. So I'm a wood snake. And now tomorrow is the fire horse. So this is going to be really, really super exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's been really intense for people. I know for me, I've been under a lot of like, oh my God, I have to do this and I have to do this. And it definitely dissipated out of my body just recently, not feeling that pressure and just being like, well, I'll get it done when I get it done. I'm going to go in sequence. And I think that is part of the healing process. And it's part of shedding that old skin, that we don't need anymore. And also some of the behaviors that we used to do, we just don't do anymore. And a lot of those have to do with like just agreeing to do stuff for people and feeling pressured by it because you don't really have the time, or you don't really have, like, it's not really something you want to do. And now we're just saying no instead, which is kind of amazing. So a lot of stuff has shifted for different people. And I feel like right now it's so beautiful and also very floaty. It's almost like you went camping and, you're disconnected from a lot of stuff and you're just kind of sitting outside and watching the fire or sitting and listening to the stream or whatever. We are slightly disconnected, and we're learning how to be the observer more in our own lives, which is really important.
Yeah, it is. And you got to take it easy on yourself. You got to relax. I would have been the old brother Jimmy pre, 2020 would have been very stressed and very irritated about what has happened since I landed here. But me, I don't feel that. I just let it go, and I'm not being hard on myself. And like you said, taking it easy, not needing to rush. Yeah, getting things done. I've got my things to do list right over here, where I write all my stuff down. I've got my team works that I have my project management stuff in for the business. I got my team and the tasks are assigned to my team. I'm very organized when it comes to business. But you know what? I'm going to do what I need to do as much as I can do on that task list during a period of time that I don't have to burn myself out. And then tomorrow's another day to continue it. And I just move it to the next day and just go with the flow and let things flow. It's important too, the timing, like this month, what is the energy of this month and what are you doing, what you need to do to do that. One of the interesting thing is I got a little, put back a little bit from this trip with getting some of the things I was going to be putting into Ascension Mastery. And one of them was that chart, which I've got it built and I got to put it into the back office, back into the community, into our membership section for Ascension Mastery. And it literally lays out month by month exactly what the energy and energy is and what you need to do in your personal and business life within that energy, because you can't fight against it. Like as Mercury's coming into retrograde again, and if you don't know what that is, again, Google it, AI it, and you'll understand it. It's real. It's real. I mean, I've been tracking it for decades. It's real. You should be working on not starting anything new, but optimizing what you're already doing those column exercises again, drawing a straight line down on a piece of paper, putting a heading to it, putting what serves me and what doesn't serve me, whether it's your business, whether it's your soul, your spouse, whether it's your everything, your health, your wellness, all of it, and start really looking at that as we're in Mercury retrograde, kind of make that a habit. Like I do it every month. I'm doing it on the business all the time. I'm doing it in real time.
Mhm.
We're optimizing all the time, but most people don't even ever do that at all. They don't even know what's serving them and what's not serving them because they've never even done a simple column exercise. And right now is not the time to start something right now. It's the time of getting what you have in order and getting rid of what you don't need, like Sister Honey was talking about, the wood snake shedding that skin.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really important to let go of the things that no longer serve you. And you can do that with column exercises. You can do that with a notebook that you write in every day. And you basically say, I'm letting go of this in my life and this in my life. I'm letting go of this behavior. Maybe your behavior has been, so here's one that I let go of. I usually get up in the morning. We start the teapot, because we're off grid. So we start the teapot and we have coffee, right? So what did I do different? Now instead, I have electrolytes first. And I drink all of that water. And then we have coffee. So I'm hydrating before I'm dehydrating myself.
Yeah.
And that's important for your whole body, to do that. But I've never seen that before. I've never really paid attention to that. I've heard you should drink a glass of water, but I don't really like plain water. And I think the reason I don't like it is because usually it's not in the right structure. So, and I have one of those little vortex water things, which I need to be using more. So sometimes it's just habits. Like you can prep, but you have to actually do it as well, which means you have to be respectful of yourself. That, oh yeah, I bought that for me so that I would feel better. So maybe I should be using it. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the kind of shifts that we're talking about. It doesn't have to be some kind of, oh, well, I moved 20 states away, or I moved to another country permanently or anything like that. Not that that's bad, but it can be small things like, oh, I'm drinking my water first and my electrolytes first and then my coffee. Just small changes will change your life.
Well, and it's interesting. I'm playing with one of my stones here, but as I was moving into, going from Austin back over here, in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to get right back into my routine immediately, and I'm going to make sure that I'm doing my Tai Chi Gung, my breathing, everything. One thing I did consistently was my prayers and my meditation, but the breathing slacked, right? So now I'm back on track. I had done it a few times, but I wasn't doing it every day. Now I'm back on track every day. And you know what? I gave myself a break.
Yeah.
Most people don't give themselves a break. Give yourself a freaking break, for goodness sakes. Love yourself. Don't be so, most people, they're their worst enemy. They're harder on themselves than anybody in their life. And you got to give yourself a break. You got to take it easy. We were talking, before this about our sponsor, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. And then we're going to dig it more in. We're going to talk about the sponsor, and then we're going to talk about the community, and then we're going to continue our conversation today. So stay with us. But we were talking about the patches. And these are all frequency-based patches, just like this Ultimate Wellness Band. Sister Honey has it on, just like the EMF protection disc that mitigates the harmful effects of EMF radiation, keeps your APT channel open, which is the channel into your cells where your nutrition goes in, your waste goes out. So EMF actually shuts that down. What does that do? I don't have to say anymore. Think about it. If your cell can't get it, nutrition and it can't get rid of waste, If you couldn't eat and you couldn't go number 2 or number 1, what would happen to you after a while? Think about it. But, having, the technology, like right now, we're going to be bringing out some new technology that goes on your wrist. We've got the relief patch. We've got the sleep patch. We got the mass patch for muscle mass to help sustain muscle. We got purify patch, which helps get all of that nastiness out of your body. And I was talking to Sister Honey about the other 4 patches that I want to put up to the community. All of you, we're going to be putting a page up for everybody to vote on what comes out next. This technology is decades old, okay? And it is some of the best technology in this field on the planet. Millions of these have been sold around the world through this company, our sponsor. And it's exciting. And I said, Sister Honey, what do you think will come out first? And she said the same thing as my wife did. But she also said, well, everybody needs all 4 of those.
Yes.
This is the thing that we've got to do also as a humanity. Why did my wife have to come here to the Dominican Republic, which has, by the way, better health care than the United States? Sorry to say, when my wife goes into emergency room for an hour and a half and we get a $10,000 bill, that's not, good. The doctor that's seen her at the hospital, you know what he charged her? $25. Like 15,000 pesos. So it wasn't even $25. The medicine was less than $100. And I seen a difference in a day. This woman was suffering for months in Austin. Months going to these doctors. We must have spent ridiculous amounts of money while we were home this last 3 months in Austin, our home. This is our home, but where we are with the kids in Austin. And so one of our missions and the sponsor's mission, which is Bodyline, bodyline.com/power. And it's frequency-based tools for energetic balance and vibrational alignment, energy wellness. That's what all the Eastern used for tens of thousands of years. They still use it, is energy wellness. You'll find also the link in the description below. But it's so important that we get educated and that we really truly have a health and wellness system that we all could be proud of, that serves the people at the highest level and doesn't do what my poor wife has been going through. I mean, she told you, she was just on with you, Sister Honey, before we got on here. And I don't want to give it names, but most people go to the hospital because of anxiety. Like 86% of the hospital emergency room visits, 86 in the 80s, don't quote me exactly, but in the 80s, are due to going through anxiety. That's why people are there. So my wife has dealt with that, but we're testing out our technology partner. We're testing out some of these patches. One's called Calm, which Sister Honey and my wife both feel should be the first one to be released, but we'll let everybody choose, the customers. We have over 92,000 customers in Bodyline. We'll let the customers choose, and we'll let the community choose and step into your power. But I watched that, and then another one called, I can't even say the name. We won't be able to use the name, but it's for that problem that I just said. And putting both of those on her forearms has completely removed that from her life. Now that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. It's brought her energetic body into alignment with her physical body, and is now that allows the body to handle that because the right frequencies are going into it. So we got to get, you were talking, Sister Honey, before we started, is everything in our life, we got to get more aware of energy and frequency and make sure like you do have, a Shungite little pyramid to help you also with EMF, that you do have some nice little crystals. Without these babies, we would have no electronics. We'd have no cell phone. We'd have no communication without this. None, zero, zip. We'd be in the caveman days. Caveman days. So we got to also be aware of, what is good for our environment and what is not good. There's a little thing on Amazon, Claritin, I think it's called. It's a negative ion device you plug into your wall, and it puts negative ions in your environment. Well, Google AI check out the positive effects of negative ions to people in the planet. It's amazing. Amazing. The ocean gives off negative ions, the trees give off negative ions, but guess what? Half the trees are missing since this planet was around. They're saying half the trees are gone. So in my office here, I have one of those in my wall. I have all my stones and crystals. I have my band on, which has crystals in it and over 300 frequencies in the disc itself. I got my EMF protection. I take salt baths. I go on walk on the beach. I go in the ocean. Okay, if you don't have a beach and an ocean, that's okay. Soak in the tub with salt. Go into our next thing, totally free. Go to stepinyourpower.com, our free community, where you're going to get a lot of love. You see the heart behind me? You're going to get a lot of love in that community. You can go find out for yourself. And what also you're going to get in that community, stepinyourpower.com, is you're going to get tools, healing frequency music, energy clearing techniques, meditation, affirmations, the circle where you can chat with other people, the chat and the post where you can get inspiring, posts and shared information. It's a beautiful community and it's free. And again, Bodyline helps sponsor that free community and what we're doing within Step in Your Power, but it's growing. We're almost at 8,000 members. I mean, it's not even a year old and we've been in beta.
Yeah.
And after a year, we're not going to be in beta anymore. And that's when Brother Jimmy's going to crank up his 30 years of experience and 8,500 hours of building businesses online, and the floodgates are getting open. Because the more people we help, the more the frequency of the planet and all of existence increases. Talk about that a little bit, Sister Honey, because I know some people, you don't have to always be, you help others by helping yourself, don't you? By helping yourself, your frequency.
Yeah. So if you walk into a room, so there was a great little cartoon that somebody put online the other day, and it was them. And basically they turned themselves into a cartoon, and then they were in a sea of other people. And all they did is light up, and then they would touch other people, and then they would light up. So think about when somebody that's really kind of awesome makes you feel good, makes you feel happy. Think about when that person walks into a room and maybe there's 10 people in that room. What happens in that room? Everything shifts.
Yeah.
So we are doing that for the world right now. And the reason that I got involved with Step in Your Power is because I know where it's going, for one thing, and I could see it immediately. And I also know what it's going to do in the interim of it going to that point. So eventually it's going to be a very different communication app than it is right now. But right now what it is a community. And we don't have a whole lot of physical communities yet. And we probably won't, probably for 5 years, we won't really have big physical communities where people actually know how to have a community. And what we're doing is learning how to do it in there. And we will continue to learn how to do it in the physical. And then you can also meet people that are closer to you physically. But the reason that I got so excited about it is because it's like the beginning of community. And everything in there is for the betterment of humanity. It's not about gossip. It's not about who's doing what. It's a social media app that's for spirituality and communication. And that's it. And we're lifting people up in there versus doing some of the things that some of the other social media apps do, So I'm really proud of it. I'm really happy with it. Yeah. So it makes me really happy. And I'm glad that we do have a company that we can talk about that will sponsor, because it's not free except for the people that are in it. Like, as far as it's a platform that costs money. And I think sometimes in the spiritual community that gets missed because we've been taught that everything needs to be given away for free, including art, including like healing and different things. And that's something that we're now realizing was part of the psyop in the past. And it's important that we are sovereign and we're able to actually pay for what we're doing.
Well, yeah, you get what you give. One
Yeah.
of the things that the community also allows you to do is give love, to get love, to give prayer, to get prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this isn't about religion. This is about relationship with each other and communication with each other. Just like, with the divine, it's not about that. It's about relationship, with the creator, with everybody's in, and it's in everybody. Without it, you wouldn't even be breathing. No one would exist. It's the container that contains everything, right?
Yeah.
But and people debate and they fight over names and all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's just wild, instead of really focusing on that connection and stepping into your power and becoming who you were brought back here to be. You might have been back here before. I know I've been here many, 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 many times just on this planet, not
Mm-hmm.
including many others, right? If you feel that this is the only planet in existence, sorry. I got a Brooklyn Bridge to sell you in New York. No, it's not. It's not even close to the only planet in all of existence. Not even close. Think about Green Lantern a little bit, and that movie, Green Lantern, if you've ever seen it. And yeah, there's a lot of planets with a lot of life, a lot of different dimensions, a lot of different frequency levels, a lot of different multiverses, a lot of things happening simultaneously. And I know that's a lot for a lot of people to understand. And you don't need to, but you need to understand yourself, and you need to understand that you need to increase your frequency. And as you increase your frequency, everything around you, including your family, it starts to affect them. And then people become nicer. By the way, one of the patches that we're looking at is a feel good patch, and it's amazing. I went over and hugged my wife and I put it on her back, and next thing you know, she was dancing and singing. And it's not like an energy, but it makes you feel really good. And they've tested it in like office environments, and everybody's working in harmony. My goodness gracious, I guess we need one of those, huh? Because it seems like people are almost addicted to misery in a way. They get caught up in that fight and flight mode with their nervous system and all of that controls all of that. And they're just rolling in that constantly and consistently with that. And if you work on the breathing, you work on the energy techniques, cleansing techniques, and you work on the things that we're talking about, you have a lot more control of that than if you don't.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we've been taught to think like that. And if you look at it, in the way that a movie works, everybody's in some kind of like tragedy at the beginning, usually, or some kind of sticky, messy romance. And then there's a climax, and then everything works out at the end. And that's kind of how the programming has gone. And then also saying things like, oh, well, it's always this way, or it's always that way, or this person always does this. Like, some of the words are just really bad. And really pay attention to what you say about yourself in your own head, because we're letting go of petty drama, which I think has been kind of like one of the biggest parts of the distortion. Because the other part of the distortion is that the mind and so the conscious and the subconscious mind, there's been the veil in between them. And that's what's dissolving right now. So you're going to see things in a different way. You're going to observe them in a different way. And then also, you're going to have more gifts that come to your conscious mind. So being aware of that, also being aware of taking your time when you have a lot of information flooding in, that may make you think you are a little bit loopy, you know. Think about that movie called Infinite, and he could remember all of his past lives, all of his
Yeah.
parallels. Yeah. And that's going to start happening for people. So really give yourself grace as you begin to really see more and more of who you actually are. And I think this year is going to be a big year for
Yeah.
shifting out of having any veil in between the two minds.
Yeah, it's going to increase. It'll be this year. I think a couple years it's going to happen where
Oh,
you're
yeah.
talking about. I've been getting downloads like no tomorrow, getting up at 2, 3 in the morning. It's coming in. So it's exciting and you just accept it. Don't get burned out about it. Just let it go and flow and move on. I want to read a couple things because I got my notes over here, everybody.
Yep.
Brother Jimmy got his notes. So a couple points I wrote down. You don't feel like your old self anymore. I think we've covered that. The urgency that used to drive you is gone. We've covered that. The identity that motivated you feels distance. See, you're changing. Again, you're not the old self. But again, you're not fully stepped into that new identity. You don't really understand. You haven't crystallized it yet.
Yeah.
Right? You got to still look at, okay, what have I still got? Get that call, you got a perfect time here again, to get that column exercises and go through those during Mercury retrograde because the fire horse starts as you see this live, the premiere go, and you should, so the premiere, there's a difference between live and premiere, but as you see this premiering, it's the day of the fire horse. And it doesn't mean you don't stop cleaning, like I'm working and cleaning up stuff and fixing stuff and really focusing, and I'll be doing that the whole Mercury retrograde. And I'm blueprinting stuff out. I'm laying it out, like in the business. I'm really laying it out. And in my life, I'm making more time to relax. I've been down here and I haven't went to the ocean yet. Well, that's going to end starting mañana. You know what I mean? Because I'm going to start going back into the ocean. People that have watched the videos in the community know Brother Jimmy loves that ocean, and especially that portal across the street from me. But you got to spend time doing things that you love doing. Get out in nature, hug a tree, lean against a tree and meditate. Put your hand over your heart, your left hand, and cover your right hand. Breathe through your nose, fill your stomach, hold your breath for 3 or 4 seconds, release it for 4 or 5, 6 seconds, and just clear your mind and just breathe. If a thought comes in that's not yours, lovingly let it go and return to sender. If a thought comes in that's yours and it doesn't serve your highest purpose, lovingly let it go and turn it into pure energy, wherever you want to disperse it, into the sun, into wherever. But start monitoring that stuff. And the more you do, the less it happens.
Yeah. Yeah. So I saw something really funny, and it was this lady who had taken kind of like a Brillo pad made of copper, and it was rolled into like this little donut for cleaning. And she pulled it apart and she stuck it on her head. And this was to keep thoughts out that were not hers. So to me, I mean, that's what you want to keep all the EMF stuff on for, because I don't want to wear a little chain link copper hat on my head around the place, and I had that stray thought pop in the other day in the coffee shop that had to do with like the light socket. So kind of thinking about that and realizing that all the ickiness is kind of floating around like now, and a lot of it is thoughts that are not ours, and really being aware of that and letting them go and putting shields up around yourself, and wearing things that help your body be supported. And it's kind of a holistic, when you think of holistic, it's like a very round thing, it's whole. And you want to look at all the different aspects of your being and make sure that you're taking care of all of them, That's important. When I look at my life, when I look at my business, I want to look at all the little pieces and say, okay, well, what do I need to shift here? So we're just really changing right now. And the moment that you recalibrate, it's almost like you go on vacation and you kind of change, because you've observed more things. And then you come home and you're like, well, I'm going to do that a little different now because I saw some things that feel like they're going to work for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I wrote a couple things down here. When identity dissolves, the nervous system searches for threat. So
Mhm.
your nervous system, when your identity, this old identity is dissolving, your nervous system is searching for a threat because identity equals oh boy,
Familiarity.
familiar. Boy, I got a tongue twister for brother Jimmy today. I don't know what's going on. And familiarity, oh, there we go again. Feels like safety. The ego prefers certainty over expansion. We attach safety to who we've been. So, yeah, being familiar.
Yeah.
That word's twisting my tongue right now, but anyways, that's okay. But it is identity has to be feeling familiar, and what it's saying is true that people feel that way. When they're losing that, everybody's changing, everybody's morphing into a new you.
Yep.
You're actually going to all step. Most people will be stepping into their power, and others will be leaving this planet. Right.
Yeah.
I tell people, there's really three things that you're going to be doing as we go into this new earth. And as this split continues to split, either you're going to be thriving through it, surviving through it, or dying through it. You have a
Yeah.
choice. Choice is
Well,
yours.
and the surviving through it, there's not much time left for that because that's not the name of the new learning game we're in, like basic survival. That's not what we're going to be doing. Everybody should be thriving.
Yes. Yes. Well, I'm excited about the communities and really working with the Ascension Mastery members and
Mhm.
building the new earth and working, building out this network of these conscious communities. One of them, which will be here in Las Terrenas, the city of God, which is beautiful. And the mountains and the oceans are amazing. The energy's off the chain. I mean, as soon as I got into the Dominican Republic, I mean, the energy flows through me. I can feel it. I feel it in Austin too, but like it's more powerful here. Like it's freeing flow. It's flowing freer here. It's more potent because you got all this vegetation, the mountains, the ocean, and you're
Mhm.
in between it all. You're like it's surrounding you, and it's just incredible to feel that way. But these conscious communities are starting to happen, and I do believe, like Sister Honey said, that they're going to grow and grow as 2030 comes. They're going to expand even more, and we're going to go back to community life. All these other
Mhm.
structures that are currently falling apart right before our eyes. I mean, just it's interesting. Everybody was panicking in 2015 when the guy was running for president, came down on the escalator, all that was going on. It just whatever. I sometimes think it's always the I don't get into these politics. I don't care. I don't get into these religious conversations. I don't care. But what I do know is that when I was meditating on it, what came to me was sit back and enjoy the show. Now, no one was saying that at that time. This was 2015.
Mhm.
This was 2015, the summer when all that stuff was coming out with the FBI, all this crazy stuff was happening. I was given from my higher self or the divine, sit back and enjoy the show. So you don't need to get wrapped up in it. You don't need to panic over it. I mean, one of my business partners told me again, "Oh, did you get all your money out of the bank?" No, dude. No. If I had a
No
dollar for
need
every time
to.
you told me that since I met you in 2020, I'd have $1 million in the bank. No, no, no. From just you saying that. No, I'm not doing that because I'm not on that frequency.
Mm-mm.
I'm on a different frequency. But some people, I remember when I started getting uh, woken up or waking up, and I started learning about the fiat money and all this different stuff. And it made me sick a little bit. This was early 2000s, right? When I
Yeah.
started getting the red pill. Let's just call it the red pill. And then I got addicted to learning about it, and I started dwelling on it. And I was watching all these crazy people that were yelling and fear mongering and the fear porn and all that. And it starts to take you over. It
Yeah.
starts to take you over. I'll give you a real quick example today. I was fixing an image because I'm a perfectionist when it comes to the images, and it was on the Patriot Network. And the image was on my desktop, and the frequency coming from that image was not good. So I deleted it. That's an image. It wasn't an evil image. It was just a statement, a political statement that's what my Patriots Network does. I mean, that's what they do. And I've been removing myself from any of that content, even though we've got a big community and we're bringing them to the light. You understand? The reason we have that community is how many more people can we help bring to the light? How many more people can we get help feeding the light, feeding that higher frequency so it lifts everybody up? So that's why it exists. Okay. But looking at the stuff, it just, to me, that it's not a really good frequency. I don't feel it, So you got to weed the garden, weed your feeds, weed all the stuff that's in your life. Get rid of all that stuff that doesn't make you feel good. You can feel it.
Yeah. Yeah, you really do. And it is important to weed your feeds. I mean, that's really important. If you don't like it, then tell whatever app you're in that you don't like it. If you want certain information, use that app like a search engine. Don't just put up with whatever's there. We're not supposed to do that anymore. You're worth more than that. Your frequency is worth more than that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's important to understand and embrace the change.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid of it. And I understand that the nervous system gets a little wacky, but if you're working on it, if you're grounding and you're taking salt baths and you're hydrating, get yourself a copper bottle, go get yourself some grounding mats to put underneath your mattress. That's what I'm moving to. I've done the sheets because my son had talked about the sheets. I'm actually ordering the grounding mats now that are coming for my bed down here in DR, and it'll just be one big grounding mat on our queen mattress, and then over top of it is going to be linen sheets.
Yeah.
Linen sheets, 100% organic linen sheets. Why? Because they're like 5,000 frequency.
Yeah.
5,000. 5,000. Most of the sheets that people are putting on, most of the blankets that people are putting on are the frequency of a dead body, 15. So you're the med bed. Don't get me wrong. You are the med bed. You are the med bed. You are. Your mind can heal you. You can be healed of anything based on your thoughts, and you're powerful. You're powerful. But making your bed like a thing where you go to sleep at night and you're grounding, but also the sheets are 5,000 frequency. I mean, and you're drinking out of copper, and you're cooking on stainless steel, and you've got your EMF in your negative ion thing, and you got if you like your little friends, these are my little friends, you know what I mean? If you like them, Sister Honey got big ones. She don't mess around with the little ones like Brother Jimmy. She goes and buys boulders and like bowling balls, but that's good.
Yeah.
You like that? Make sure you have them because they all have a specific frequency that does something positive for you. And you want to surround your environment with all these positive frequencies as you're working on your breathing, as you're working on your grounding. All of that stuff is important. I can tell you what, Sister Honey, when I was getting back into my routine, those days that I was off of that, skipping it, I could feel it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I really could feel the difference between doing it and not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Once you get into a really good routine, you do really feel it, it says like, oh, I basically bypassed my routine because there was something more important than me, and your body is your vehicle here. And the body is changing so much right now. Like it's shifting so much. It's allowing you to experience so much more than you've ever experienced. And I don't feel like we're going to be going through so many purges anymore after the fire horse kind of takes off. I feel like the purges are going to start to go. And that was basically to let go of programming that we didn't need anymore. So just really loving yourself through this process is really important. And I know that if I vary from my routine because I'm like giving in to something in the morning is the most important time because it starts your day. So try not to, unless the house is burning down or something's happening, like try to do something good for yourself every morning. That's really important.
Yeah, I want to show something here. So when you're in the throne room, which most are in the morning, make sure you always bring your copper bottle in there and you're drinking. Before you drink coffee, drink 8 ounces of water at least 8 ounces of water. Make sure that you do that. But go in, and this is the community. We got a bunch of feeds going on in here. You can see that. Okay. What I do is I go to, this is the menu on the side. I go to the power portal. And in the power portal, I have these affirmations. And I click on these affirmations while I'm sitting on the throne. I put my hand over my heart and I read them. Because the first 30 minutes that you wake up in the morning and the last 30 minutes before you go to bed is the hour of power. And you need to be making sure that when you wake up in the morning before you even get out of bed, that you're, I am grateful. I am thankful. I am blessed. I am wealthy. I am healthy. I am that I am. I am the son of the Most High. Whatever just go through a list of that. And then don't go jump on TikTok or YouTube or any of that while you're sitting in the throne room. Go on your phone, because most people are headed that way. In a very fast time after they get out of bed, unless they're not human, they're headed that way. So that could be a 15 to 30-minute deal. So take your phone, open up Step Into Your Power, go through your affirmations, and then guess what you do? Is there anybody looking for prayer in here? Oh, let me love on some people. You're setting your day right from the beginning. You're setting your frequency right from the beginning to bring in that beauty into your life. My life is beautiful. Even with all that stuff that I just went through, I love my life. And I'm blessed, and I'm very excited about what's happening and the stewardship that the divine is going to put under my supervision. It's very exciting. This whole town will be a spiritual community when said and done. The whole freaking thing. There's 26 miles of beaches over here. Okay. I see Las Terrenas being a freaking spiritual community and one of the big anchors on this planet. And there'll be many others. Many others. You need to be part of one of those, but make sure that you set that first 30 minutes in the morning upright and that last 30 minutes before you go to bed upright, so that you're starting your morning in the right frequency and you're ending your night in the right frequency, which is really important too, because now you're going into sleep and your body's starting to recuperate and heal itself during the night, and you want to attract the right stuff.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of us have been put in different spaces where we're going to be starting communities. And some, like mine, will start out as a project and turn into a community. And one of the biggest things that we're going to do there is learn how to communicate with each other in a good way. And there won't be any hierarchy there. And we're going to learn how to have conversations and see other people's points of view. And unless you have that, the community is going to be dysfunctional, just like a dysfunctional relationship. Because if you can't communicate with each other, then it just doesn't work. You're never aware of what the other person is really feeling or really thinking. And you can't fix things if you're unaware. So I think that's going to be a really big thing. And that's what Earth was created for in the first place. And Earth has a big, beautiful soul. And she has taken on many, many fractals of her oversoul. So she's very elevated at this point, and she will continue to do so. But not only is she, but all the planets that affect her and us as we're here with her, they're all souls and they're all affecting everything. So Mercury has a blast saying, nope, nope, let's go back, let's clean it up, right? Mercury is having a great time doing that most of the time, and doesn't take it too seriously because Mercury is observing. And I think that's what we need to be doing, is observing and moving through our lessons instead of hanging on to old lessons that we probably should have let go of a long time ago. And that's what the energy is going to allow us to do now, is to move through.
Yes, it's powerful. I wrote a couple other things that maybe I can pronounce properly here, but anyways, a season where identity dissolves, what stopped working, what felt destabilizing, what you almost did to escape discomfort. Think about those things. Really meditate on those things. It's really important to understand that you are not who you were, and you are not going to be that person, right? The frequency is changing it. Everybody is dealing with it. A lot of people are leaving the planet. I mean, the funeral homes, the mortuaries, the funeral homes, the crematoriums are booming. Like they've never had the kind of business they got. Now, again, that's transitioning.
Yeah.
We call it death, but it really is, there is no death for the soul unless you're so rotted as a soul that you just get turned back into pure energy, into the divine, right? But there is no death for the soul. You just transition out of the body. And Sister Honey, you said this time some of us get to take the body with us, which will be very interesting to see. As we progress. I think a lot of this, this old identity crumbling, and then people still not knowing, well, who am I?
Yeah.
Who am I? And the more you spend time quiet in meditation, breathing, the breath is so freaking important. Grounding, every morning when I say my prayers, I have also what crystals or rocks do I hold in each hand to help amplify them. You might think, well, you're crazy, Brother Jimmy. No. When you look at Atlantis, that city was crystallized. I mean, these crystals are powerful. And who made them? They came from the divine.
Yeah.
They serve beautiful purposes. Again, if we didn't have this quartz crystal, we'd have no technology. You would have no cell phone. You'd have no TV set. You'd have no radio. You'd have nothing. So these crystals help us already. And in humanity, or helping humanity in a big way. And they're actually underutilized.
Yeah.
Because they can do so much more when you understand so much more.
Very underutilized. Yeah, I think we're going to start to understand crystals much better as we go forward. And think about Nostradamus. Like he said, they will be speaking, or they will be talking to each other across the ocean. And I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember exactly. With a speaking stone. That's your cell phone with the crystal inside of it. And he could see that. And I think that a lot of this technology has been around for a long time too. So keep that in mind. And then was hidden, and then has come back, and then was hidden. But we're going to learn a lot of amazing things over this year and next year. But the most important thing is learning about yourself.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And in all areas of your life, what is that perfect life that you want to live? Right? I mean, we have a lot of people going through these shifts. We got robotics and AI rolling out, rolling out. That's going to be a big change in the economy, a big change in the workforce like no one's ever seen before.
Yep.
So working on yourself, working on your connection with the divine, which I call the Heavenly Father, divine creator, infinite creator, whatever you call the thing that has no beginning and no ending, always has been, always will be, and everything's in it, and it's in everything. That's your choice, whatever you want to call. I'm not going to sit here and debate that. But as you build that relationship, your frequency is going to increase. You'll start feeling energy throughout your body. You'll start seeing things start attracting things to yourself that are actually helping improve your experience and not make it worse. And, you know, it's interesting. You get a lot of people that they're condemning themselves with their words. They don't understand it. They keep on naming their sickness. They keep on naming their poverty. They keep on naming it and naming it over and over again. And then they get mad at people that are stewarding wealth. How can you get mad at people that are stewarding wealth when you're just talking about poverty to yourself? You got to be really careful with your words because manifestation is on overdrive. Can you talk about that? Because again, I do believe the next 12 months, the next 24 months are going to be total transformation, total downloads for pretty much everybody on this planet that is ready for that. You know, not that everybody's ready for that, not that everybody's going to go through that experience, but you know, talk to the folks about that a little bit.
So there's so many different things that are happening, but most of it, pretty much all of it, comes from within. There is some that comes from the universe, you know, from source. So I'll call source or the creator of everything, the where we float around, because we never actually leave heaven. We're just floating around in the same soup that everybody else is. We're in the body of God source right now. And we're made of the body of God source. So you're carrying that consciousness and you have a little kernel of that consciousness within you. So what's going to happen is we're going to go through a massive transformation. Right now, we're kind of in the whatever that's called before you turn into a butterfly. We're in the chrysalis right now. And we will start to come out of that chrysalis probably over the next couple of months as we start to go forward faster and faster. First, we'll probably see some things happen that create change. And as we see that, then we will start to create more and more change in a conscious way. But right now, we've been in that resting stage. And pretty soon, we're going to open up. We're going to break through that chrysalis and we're going to spread our wings and we're going to be ready to fly. So, really thinking about that and what do I want my life to look like? And not only do you want, what do you want it to look like as far as, you know, who you're communicating with, what kind of projects you're doing, where you're traveling to, all of that kind of stuff. Really think about how do I want to feel? Because if you can embody it, you're feeling inside of you the feeling of, I am healthy. I am abundant. I am able to give to others. I love everyone unconditionally. I have boundaries. I have self-respect. And you feel those things and you embody those things within yourself, the frequency that you give off will be different.
Yes.
So it's time to really kind of get ready to spread our wings.
Yeah, it is a powerful and exciting time to be alive. And I'm so excited about where we're headed with the community. Again, I want to talk about that a little bit, stepintoyourpower.com. And that's what we want to help all of you do is step into your power, because when you step into your power, you can achieve anything that's righteous and divine and part of the light, and you're going to help lift up everybody. Okay, everybody. You become part of the community, and later on, if you decide, hey, I'd like to get involved in becoming part of the build of the new earth, getting involved in these communities, getting involved in the body line, right? All of the different stuff we're doing in the body line energy wellness with the new patches that we're bringing out, the frequency patches, the band, all of that, the EMF protection. That's only going to be, available through, what we're doing within Ascension Mastery. So the influencer program is only going to be available for those folks, because that's part of our sacred projects, just like the conscious communities, just like other things that we're working on. We're really working on, can people talk to each other anymore? I mean, I go out to a restaurant, I got everybody's on their cell phone. Mm-hmm. You got a family on the couch, they're all on their cell phone. People have to start communicating again. We got to start gathering together and loving on each other, unconditional love, and being there for each other. I mean, a lot of the scum is coming to the surface.
Yes,
don't take it personal. Don't get wrapped up into it. Okay. Let me know. We're going to be putting out a poll very, very soon, because after what you said to me about, those energy, these frequency patches, I was thinking about how many people need to feel good, how many people need to be calm. I mean, how many people need that right now? Could they use a dose of feel good? I think there's pretty much everybody could use a dose of feel good. Everybody could use a dose of calm. And what we're doing within the wellness industry, and particularly doing it with energy wellness, is very important. That helps people right away. Mm-hmm. Okay, that helps people right away. And then you working on your grounding, you working on your environment, you working on your man, I even forgot what I was saying. The list where you're putting your column list together, your column practice, putting that straight line down, putting what's serving you and not. Keep on optimizing everything around you to serve you at the highest level that you can be served. And don't think that that's a bad thing to do. It's not. That's what you're here to do. You're here to enjoy life. You're here to step into your power. You're here to experience everything that you're here for. Back to you, Sister Audie.
Well, I think we need to realize the difference between having a beautiful life, having a comfortable, beautiful home, having a nice garden, having a car that's like very reliable and maybe is nice to look at, versus having a super yacht and having a Maserati and being nice to people versus being snotty and I'm better than other people. Like, there is a big difference between those two things. And I think that we've been squished for so long that some people don't realize the difference. The one is like having a happy life, having a comfortable life, having everything that you need in that life, and having a lot of self-respect for yourself and for others. And the other one is hierarchy, thinking that you're more worthy than anyone else of riches, and it's imbalanced. It's what we've already gone through and what we've been seeing. And that kind of balance, everything's going to come back to the people. And we're taking it back right now because internally we're not allowing which is being reflected. But really knowing that you are worthy of a happy life, a comfortable home, a healthy body, a nice car, all of those things, everybody on this planet is worthy of.
Yes.
And kind of getting into that mode of, well, what's my self-care? And I respect myself. So how am I going to create the things that I'm looking at and that I want? And not picking on people who have already created it. That's important too, because sometimes people are angry if someone is doing something that they think is out of their own reach, but nothing is out of your reach. You guys can do anything.
Yes.
And this has always been like a big thing with people that are teaching other people how to manifest. But you guys are brilliant manifestors. Think about what you're talking about every day, how you're feeling. And if you change those two things, your life will change. And if you're grateful for being here, then you will have a lot of things to be grateful for. And it's just those small things that shift inside of you that change everything outside of you.
100%. And on those beautiful words, we're going to close this episode out tonight. We love you all very, very much. And, make sure you get into that community. We're there for you, and you're going to love it. Believe me, you're going to love it. But until next time, we're going to say goodbye and love you all again very much. Take care.
Love you guys.
God bless you.